Hello everybody, Mr. Pilgrim here, coming at you with a brand new Platinum Trophy guide, and that is going to be for the game Succubus with guns. I know from this weird viewpoint it's probably confusing, but there's a specific reason why I'm going to wait to show the character and all that for at least maybe 30 or so seconds or more while I explain into some details about playing through the game. So how the game works is you have your first tutorial stage here that we're currently in and going to go through. Then you're going to have 6 stages after that, which will all have waves of enemies that you'll have to fight off and defeat in specific arenas to try and give you a challenge. Some of these arenas can be pretty easy, some can be not, and the enemy types will also vary, and along the way you will be getting different weapons and guns that you can use, and just similar things like that. So there's only 2 specific enemy types that you're going to have to worry about maybe trying to farm and kill, one of them more than the other, and I'll go into detail on that whenever we get to that point. But for now, we're basically just going to try and play through the tutorial, and you're going to actually end up wanting to die to the first enemy that you come across, and that is going to be the slimes. So I think it's been about long enough, so I can now move my character around. And the first thing that you're also going to want to do is just turn the character and basically just have your camera in the front and jump 5 times, and that'll get you your first trophy for testing the physics. So from here we can now run down and play a part of the tutorial. You can dodge like almost most games. Now you'll need to find a key to open the door. It'll be right here on the right side. You'll then use the key, and then it'll open this first chest right here, and you'll have your first weapon of the game, and that is going to be a rifle. Now from here, if you come over to the right, you'll actually just want to let these slimes kill you, and that will get you your second trophy of the game. It'll take a bit of time for them to kill you, of course. But once that does happen, then you'll get your second trophy of the game. There is this weird mechanic where you can actually resurrect yourself by picking up the red orbs. But don't do that, as you're actually trying to die to the slimes, so we're just gonna not pick any of these red sprites up, I guess is what they'd be better called, or orbs, I don't know, energy, whatever you'd like to call it. But once you finally die, you will then get the trophy for dying to the slimes, and then we can move on to actually just completing the tutorial. For some reason I somehow got revived. But now we can actually move on. So yeah. Alright, so now once you have died and come back to where you get the assault rifle, the next thing that you're going to want to do is actually complete the tutorial, so you'll actually go through and defeat the slimes. The aiming is a little iffy at times, so do keep that in mind. But once you do that, you will then get your second trophy for defeating the slimes. For some reason, L1 is your reload and square is your jump. A little weird, but we'll deal. So from here, you'll now have the giant portal to go through, and that will be the tutorial completed. So that will be your third trophy right there. So now we can move on to the first stage, which will be right here. Alright, so in the first stage you have a couple of trophies that you can work on, one of which I will highly recommend waiting until you've already done your full playthrough and then just replaying through the stage, and that will be for killing 50 big guys, which I will point them out once they become apparent. But from here, the first thing you actually want to do is find whatever enemies that you want, and you want to just die within the first 30 seconds of the match starting, and that will get you your 4th trophy. and then upon doing so, you will, like I said, you'll get that one trophy for dying in the first 30 seconds on the first stage. You'd think the first stage would be the tutorial, but no. Once again, you will have your resurrection that will take time to go away. Then the next trophy you want to work on before you actually start working on any of the waves and stuff like that is going to be dying 2 more times on this stage. That will get you another trophy. So pretty easy stuff. So what you'll have to do is you'll actually have to full die and then reload the area. Do that 3 times. You'll get 2 trophies, one for dying in 30 seconds and the other for dying 3 times on the same level. So now we can move on and reset the level to go over the next couple of trophies to work on. Alright, so now once you've started this level, there'll actually be a pistol here to the right of where you spawn, and then there will also be a RPG over here in the corner. Once you grab the RPG, I highly recommend that you hold on to it for just a minute. You're going to want to go through a wave or 2. Eventually enemies will run away from you once they are certain health. And then there's also going to be ammo pickups and things like that along the way. There will also be, as you'll see, skeleton archers. Now I believe wave 3 is when your first big guy shows up right here. You want to kill 50 of them. Now if you simply just replay the first stage, you can easily get 7 of them pretty quickly by just speedrunning through the stages. So the next trophy to talk about is going to be killing 5 enemies with 1 shot. So if you take this RPG here and just simply line it up, you easily will kill more than 5. So now you have to reload, of course, like always. But that will be that trophy, and like I said, the killing 50 big guys, I would wait until you've already completed the game, as when you're going through all of the stages and stuff like that, there will be big guys that will spawn. This will just reduce the amount of grinding that you'll have to do towards the end of it. So from here, you should have gotten the trophy for killing 5 enemies with 1 shot. Pretty easy. So from here, you're basically just going to want to play through the game. You'll notice up in the top right, each stage will have a wave counter and things like that. Like I said, some stages can be a bit annoying. Don't worry about if you happen to die and stuff like that. You can revive yourself, as long as you're picking up enough orbs, and those orbs will determine how much HP you get back. You're then eventually going to have to cycle through weapons, of course, as you're playing through. And then at the end of each area, there is going to be a boss that you'll have to fight. Some of them are a little bit easier than others. Some of them can actually be bugged out and made much easier, like on, I believe, stage 3 that has the bones and stuff like that that you can climb on top of. The boss in that area will actually not attack you, so do keep that in mind. So now we're actually going to move on to the second stage, and that is going to be covering the next couple of trophies. So yeah. Alright, like I said, so now you should have completed stage 1 and have moved on to stage 2. So from here, you will actually find, in this main area, you'll find your sword right here. And just finding the sword alone will also get you a trophy. Now you'll use R1 to use the sword. You can also block using L1. Best way I've found to use the sword on enemies is just to kind of strafe backwards and then let them run at you. Now of course, if you happen to have melee or ranged enemies, having them just run right at them, like I said, enemies will run away from you, and eventually they will come back to you. So while you're doing stage 2, I highly recommend that you also just use only the sword. Like I said, just running backwards and strafing while spamming your melee weapon attack will be the key to saving and preserving most of your health. But as I was saying though, from here you basically are trying to go through and complete all of stage 2 using only the sword. It might take a couple of attempts, or you might get it on your first try, but once you do that, you will also get the trophy for completing a stage using only the sword, then completing just stage 2 in general. Pretty easy stuff, you know, nothing too hard. And then, as well as going through stage 2, you should also get the trophy for killing 30 skeletons with the sword. If you don't happen to get it on your first run, which I believe there are plenty of skeletons later on in the stage, then you can always just replay the stage and redo that. So that will be another trophy that you'll get. So from here, it's just going to be going through and playing through the stages, getting more familiar with the enemy types and the stages. There's one in particular that's snowy and kind of cramped that you'll have to maneuver around, and there's a giant ice flame dragon that you'll have to fight as the boss. Can be difficult, and then later you'll eventually fight the last couple of bosses, and you'll be more familiar with the game and how it works. Like I said, you can dodge, you can jump, stuff like that. It's not too hard, and it should only take you a couple of hours to get the Platinum Trophy. Like I said, the last trophy you might have to work on is killing the 50 big guys with, or just killing 50 big guys in general, which, like I said, just replay the first stage. You should easily get 7 to 10 big guys in stage 1 alone. And then they get fewer and fewer as you go through each stages. So like I said, it's not too bad, not too hard. As always, this has been Mr. Pilgrim. I do hope that this guide has been helpful, informative in some way, shape, or form. And as always, I will see you all in the next one.